As runners, we all challenge ourselves in ways we never thought possible, pushing the boundaries of what we're capable of to smash through targets and set ourselves new, bigger and better ones.
This awesome hobby that we share gives us one thing in common, and it brings us together as a community. Whether you're working towards completing your first parkrun or you're a veteran of the sport who's run 100 ultra marathons, we all know the feeling of reaching that maxed out effort and our own red line.
Welcome to our podcast, where your hosts Brett Elesmore and Andy Maguire discuss the struggles, the successes and everything in between on our running journeys, as we all work towards the next time we're running the red line. Hello and welcome to episode 18 of Running the Red Line. I am your host Brett, and I am here as always with my co-host Andy. How are you doing this week, mate?
I'm hot. That's how I'm doing. I'm just like everyone else in the UK is asking the same question. How did this happen? How has it got so hot? It's ridiculous. But on the other hand, you'll never ever hear me complaining that it's too hot, because I actually, believe it or not, I much prefer it being hot than cold. So yeah, if anyone ever says, "Oh, it's warm, but it's a bit too warm," shut up. Yeah. We've been waiting for this moment for so long.
Yeah, that is true. But would you prefer, just in general, to be too cold or too hot?
I've heard this before. If it's too anything, then it's not nice, is it? Is it?
No, it's not. But which would you prefer? Which would you rather?
I'd probably be too hot.
Really?
Oh no. Well, yeah, because I can always cool down then. No, you probably can't, because if you're too hot, you can never cool down.
That's my thing. Yeah.
Yeah. See, no, I like.
It might be because I'm a February child, so I was born into the cold in the winter. Yeah. But I would much rather be too cold than too hot. You can put a jumper on if you're cold, whereas you can't cool down if you're hot.
You are struggling if you're too hot. That's exactly how I feel right now in my little office. We've just tested. Well, we haven't even tested it. I've got a fan behind me, and I've had it on, but I can't do it to myself to have it on. And then we get to the end of this podcast, and then Brett says, "We've got to do it again. Your fan was on too loud." So instead, I'm just going to perspire my whole way through. Maguire the perspire.
We're just going to slowly watch him melt throughout the podcast.
I'm just going to become that emoji that's like,
either that or
into the floor.
Either that, or you're going to be the guy from I won't say what he is, but the guy from Indiana Jones, where his face melts when the
yeah. Yeah, that could happen. It is actually that warm. It could happen. So let's hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah. So what has been happening this week? How's your running been going? Have you been doing much this week?
Not a lot. I've been out on, I think up to now, I've done 20k or something like that. I've done 2 5Ks and a 10, and it's been lovely. So I'm just building myself up slowly. And on one of the 5Ks, I went out with a few of my mates, and we decided, I think it was a male ego thing, because they're not like typical runners. And we all sort of said, yeah, let's go out for a run. And I was like, right, tell me when we're nearly the end, and we'll finish strong. And I think we all just started trying to overtake each other, because we just like, I'm faster than you. I'm faster than you. But so it was a few mates from home, and we all had a nice run. And evening running as well. I never run in the evening, and most of my runs this week have been in this cool evening weather, and it's been beautiful. Yeah. So during the summer, I can see myself transferring to the evenings, but I mean, it's early days.
I love running in the evening. I love running in the evening. It's great. Obviously, all of our training sessions are in the evening, and it's just Love it.
Well, my training normally revolves around what I've eaten, and I'm not a good evening runner because I normally have a lot of food at dinner, and that's normally why I prefer to run at breakfast time. I normally my sweet spot is Parkrun, really, nine between 9 and 11. Really, that's my favourite times of the day to run. I don't think I've ever done, a long run after mid-afternoon. I don't think I've ever done that in my life. I always seem to get home. Say, for example, if I'm in a training block, I mean, normally I'm not in midsummer and needing to run 20 or 30 miles, but I will be soon. We'll talk about that later. But no, I don't normally have that. So for example, if I do need to do a 20 miler, I'll think to myself, I'll just get it out of the way. I'll try and beat the heat, and I'll try and get out there at 9, 8, 7 o'clock, and I'll try and be done by mid-morning. I'd never ever say to myself, right, I'll set off at 7 o'clock and I'll get back at 10. Like, I've never done a 20 miler and finished that late. Do you do that?
I just run whenever I've got the time, basically. Yeah, I just whenever it fits within the schedule of everything else that's going on in my life. That's when I run. I don't really think about time. And to be honest, my Sunday long run, I'm not a morning person, so I find it really difficult to get up first thing in the morning, just chuck running gear on and get out the door. So I always leave my long runs till later anyway. And like, even when it's stupid hot, and obviously the hottest time of the day is around midday, 1 o'clock, I'm going out for my long run at like 12:30.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I actually think it might be borderline dangerous, and please don't do this if you live in like the desert. But like, we could actually have some people in the desert listening, because we'll go through the analytics in a little bit, because we've noticed a little spike in our data. But like, I've done a couple of long runs in the midday heat last year, and I actually weirdly quite like it. I think you just slow down a bit, make sure you take a bit of water with you, and just kind of get as much shade as you can. That's why I think trail running suits me quite nicely in the summer, because you can take cover, and sometimes when you're running on those exposed country lanes, you can really feel like you're melting, can't you? Like, because that's road running, you get the bounce back of the heat from the tarmac as well. But no, but I actually quite like running in the hot weather. So I know I try and avoid it. That's what I was saying earlier. But I don't mind it. I don't mind running in the heat. It's and one thing I always try and do, again, terrible advice, but I always like to run on the hottest day of the year and the coldest day of the year. I did that last year, and I ran. It was 40 degrees. No, it was 2022. I did it. 2022, I ran. It was on the 40 odd degree day. We had 41 degree day. Just did a 5K when I was in Western-super-Mare, and that bloody hell, that was hardcore. That was quite difficult to do, and that was about 7 a.m. It was hot then, so I didn't even run in the 40 degree heat. And then I ran in the December when it got to -10, and again, that was difficult in its own way. So yeah, I do quite like to run in the extreme temperatures, but
I tell you what, it's been ace this week. I've done all of my sessions. I've done in a singlet this week. We haven't had a single t-shirt on. It's been vest, singlet weather. Which is great. I think it's going to be nice, skins weather soon as well. It's going to be.
Do you ever run without a top on, like Baywatch style?
Yeah.
You have a lifeguard.
I'm not going to tie my hair up as well. Just have it blowing in the wind.
I'll be ready. Oh man! So if you see Brett running past you, make sure you sing the Baywatch theme tune at him. But I don't know if I'm confident enough to run without me top on. But I'll be like that scene in American Pie when Stifler says, "Dude, you're scaring all the chicks away," when one of them's got their top off and they're playing American football. So yeah, that would probably be me. But so we've got a lot to talk about, and I think why don't we start by, well, we can briefly outline what we're going to talk about. So last week, Brett and I ran the Birmingham Half Marathon, which was pretty epic. It was a hot one. and
It was.
went well. We'll talk about how it went very soon. There was also a little bit of controversy around the Newport Marathon, which I ran a couple of weeks ago in the measurement division. Someone's getting sacked in the morning, and we've got emails and some comments and things to read. But before we do, Brett and I noticed you text me a couple of days ago saying we've had an insane spike on our listens from Spotify. So welcome to the podcast if you've just discovered us. And how have you found us? What's happened? Because we've had loads of new listeners.
Yeah.
We can't believe it.
Well, yeah, we're not sure what's quite gone on, whether somebody has shared a Spotify link with our podcast or something, but all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Spotify has suddenly taken over as the main the most popular listening platform for the podcast, which is pretty crazy.
Oh, and as well, what's interesting as well, over the last week, we have had a new country throw down the gauntlet, and they've said, we want to win this. We think we can take on the big boys. So no longer are the Netherlands and Spain and the likes of Greece in the top 5 and 6 positions. Welcome to the table, New Zealand. We've had 44 listens from down under in a week.
Amazing.
And they have thrown themselves into the top 5 of all time. And they're now in 5th position. I think they're now in 5th. So we've got UK, Ireland, Australia, the USA, and New Zealand. So America, they've gone. They listened to our first podcast and we haven't seen them again. So they're not even in the top 5 now.
Who?
But New Zealand are in 5th.
Yeah.
America, not.
You said USA were 4th just then.
Oh, I did, yeah. Yeah, they are 4th. I said, what? Oh yeah. I was thinking it was New Zealand, but then New Zealand are 5th. So yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. America are 4th. So they've fallen down. I thought they'd fallen away, but they have technically.
Your reading is as good as your maths. Your reading's as good as your maths.
Oh God. I just need to. You have to test me on science now to see if I can make it a hat trick of being rubbish at things. So welcome to the top 5, New Zealand, hunting down Australia.
Yeah. Amazing. Yeah, thank you for listening.
Yeah.
Something I did want to touch on as well this week is the story that came from the BBC originally, and lots of people have picked up on it now, and it's being spread around, is poor old Kipchoge.
I know. That's heartbreaking what I read this week. Absolutely heartbreaking.
Yeah, it's crazy. So no wonder he struggled at Tokyo, seeing as he didn't have any sleep for 3 days before running Tokyo. And his really family sad. And everything has had death threats, and they've threatened to burn down all of his places in Kenya and all sorts.
Is it based around him being accused of having something to do with Kelvin Kiptum's death, basically?
Yeah. So basically, because Kelvin Kiptum broke Kipchoge's world record for the marathon and was so close to knocking on the door of 2 hours, when Kelvin Kiptum passed and had that car crash, a few people said, "Oh, that's Kipchoge's doing. He had a hand in it because he was jealous and he didn't want anyone taking his world record away from him." So that then spread as a rumor, and people started believing it was true, and it spread through the community in Kenya and then all across the internet, and he's had trolls, threatening his life and all sorts.
Ever know someone from what they present on social media, but you just feel like with Kipchoge, you just know him, don't you? You just feel like he's such a gentle, kind-hearted, spiritual soul. he's not going to be doing gangster stuff like that, is he? He's not going to be
Of
like,
course he's not.
he's not going to be whacking people like he's in The Sopranos. That's ridiculous. Like,
Yeah.
who's come up with that? I can't believe that is even news, to be honest. And
I
what
know.
that has obviously done to him and his family is horrific.
Yeah.
Absolutely horrific. Yeah.
So hopefully he can get past it, and his training for the Olympics can get back on track, and he can be on top form for when he gets there. But like the last month or so, people have been writing him off and saying, well, Kipchoge's done now. He's had a couple of bad marathons. He's had his worst ever finish where he came 11th in Tokyo. So that's it. It's done. He's not going to win anything again. And I'm not surprised he had a bad race.
Yeah.
It's that hanging over
sad.
his head.
Yeah. Really sad.
But that is the perils of the internet.
Yeah, I know. So the internet is just the best, both best and the worst thing about life sometimes, isn't it? It's such a strange and dangerous old place to be. But on a slightly lighter note, tomorrow, I don't know if you were going to leave this to the end, maybe, but tomorrow is a rather special day for you, isn't it?
Well,
in terms of Saturday mornings.
It is, yes. I will be running my 100th parkrun tomorrow. Yeah, I'm a few weeks behind you, but yeah.
I don't know how that's happened, by the way.
100. Oh, it's because I started going to parkrun, and when I first started going to parkrun, I was under the impression that I could only go if I was going to run fast and break 20 minutes. And I had this big thing in my head that would only go when I knew I was going to run well. But now I don't care. I'll go and run 25 minutes, and I really don't mind.
I've only done 50, and I just finished twice. So I get me 30-minute park, me 25, me 20-minute PB, and then I go round again, and then I join the 30. I go and see Laura, and then I go in the finish funnel again and get a second token. Okay, I absolutely do not do that. Before anyone says you shouldn't be doing that, of course I don't do that. But yeah, so I'm like one ahead of you now, aren't I? Or something.
Is that what you're on? 101?
I think I've done 101, yeah. But speaking of parkrun, I'm thinking of doing, because my marathon's over now and last week's half marathon's done, I'm thinking of doing like a summer. I know everyone's calling it a summer speed. It's a bit of a iconic thing to say, isn't it? It's a bit of well, I'm going to basically do like a little mini series on it. So I'm going to choose some of the fastest local parkruns in the Midlands, or what I can get to. And I'm going to do every parkrun as fast as I can until I get that sub 20. That is my goal this summer. I mean, I won't be doing every single Saturday because there are some weekends I've got races and things like that. But I'm determined to go sub 20 before the end of summer, but before my birthday, which is the 26th of September. So that's the target I'm giving myself, which I think I could do because now I'm not marathon training. I could just point everything towards getting speedy and reduce the volume a bit and just go a bit faster. And yeah, I think I can do it. So that's my plan. So I'm going to be starting a little YouTube series called Chasing 20, which I think sounds quite
amazing.
Cool.
So where's on the list? So we've got Arra Valley, obviously.
Yeah. So my local one will be Pitchcroft, which is normally that's where I've actually got my PB of 20:37. I'm going to have a go eventually at Bruton, which I think is Solihull. I'm going to do Walsall Arboretum. Shout out to the two running brooms. John Broom went sub 20 there the other day.
Yes,
JB.
he did. Apparently that's supposed to be a mega quick one. Walsall Arboretum.
Yeah. So I think I wouldn't mind having a go at that as well. There's one over in another one towards Solihull, which I can't remember what it's called. It's around a lake. What's it called?
Is it? It's not Edgbaston Lakes, is it?
No. Sarah and Dave Oakes. It's their local one, and they run it every Saturday. I wish I could remember the name of it now. I'm sure it's over in Solihull, but that's fairly flat and fast. flat and fast. I don't know why I've moved to Amsterdam. I'm Sean Connery.
I was going to say turn into Sean Connery.
So yeah, I'm just going to do a bit of research. I heard the other day one over in Nottingham, which might be a bit far to travel, but maybe not if you could get a PB, called Long Eaton, which apparently is a really nice, easy flat one as well. So yeah, I'm just going to be on the lookout for some quick ones, and hopefully, do a bit of parkrun tourism on the way. So yeah, nice. Fingers crossed by September I could be sub 20. Should be.
Okay, how many bites of the apple do you reckon you're going to take before you get that sub 20? In your head, where do you see 5 being the magic
attempts?
number? Or
I think if it's double figures, deep down, I think I'll be getting like a bit annoyed now. I think I'd like it to be less than 10. But I know. I look at like Rachel D's videos, for example, and she's been at 20:01 for so long as well. And that's another thing. I'm going to go official parkrun time as well. I'm not going to go GPS. I'm going to because you can't. Exactly. So
you can't go GPS. We'll discuss this further later, but you can't go GPS.
Whichever time's quicker, I'll take that one. That's how it works, isn't it? People were telling me, because of the whole Newport controversy, just take your Strava marathon time. My Strava marathon time is about 4 minutes quicker or something like that. So I've ended up just taking that and then still taking 80 seconds off it. So So yeah. But I just wanted to mention quickly as well, because it's episode 18, Brett and I have decided that we're going to have a little mini break, and we're going to call this episode the end of series 1. Because we've both
season 1, not series.
Sorry, got to make it. Yeah, we've got to make it international for our New Zealand and American and Australian listeners, and for our listeners in Uzbekistan. And so yeah, this is going to be the end of season 1. So we're only going to take a short break. Don't worry, we're not going to be away from you for too long, and we'll be back in series 2 with some more ideas, maybe even some more segments. Like Brett's end of the podcast quiz, who knows? We'll come back bigger and better. But so we've got a few things to mention. I think we were going to have a little chat about some of the comments and emails we've had.
Yes, because we put that on hold on the last episode, didn't we? So let's start there, and then we can move forward. Yeah. Well,
shall I start with some of the emails we had? So we had an email yesterday from Daniel Day who wrote. He wrote in just saying, "Hi, just going to leave this here." Doesn't say who it's to, but we know who it's to. It's a picture of an Adidas Takumi Sen 10, I think.
Yep.
And the colorway is like the 3 stripes are like luminous yellow. The laces are blue, and there's like a camo or leopard print across the mesh upper. And this shoe looks like it's got Brett written all over it. So I think, Daniel, we can read between the lines and say that might be directed towards you. So does that take your fancy?
Yeah. I have been looking at those over and over again and just telling myself that I'm not allowed to buy any more shoes. It's the Road to Records colorway that they did to commemorate a world record. And it's the colorway of... I'm not sure whether it was the singlet or shorts of one of the female Adidas athletes when she broke the world record in a certain distance. Amazing. And to commemorate that for the Road to Records event this year, they made shoes, a singlet and shorts with that colorway. And I was very tempted by the shorts, but the split shorts, have a guess at the cost of a pair of split shorts in that colorway.
Yeah. The Adidas. You're going to say something horrendous now. Surely you can't be paying more than, say, 60 quid for a pair of shorts.
Yeah. See, that's what I thought. And I was like, 60 is still expensive. But no, they were 75 quid.
That's mental.
So I went, I love a pair of those. Went onto the website, so they were 75 quid and just closed the app.
Yeah. Went to bed disappointed. But have you got any premium running gear, by the way? Because I know you're a big Adidas fan, but like, have you got any Say Sky stuff or any Source stuff, or
No, I
what's the other one,
haven't, to be
Tracksmith?
honest. Yeah, no, I haven't. I've not really looked into that because of how expensive it is. I'm not sure I could. I mean, I tend to buy most of my running gear in the sale or when there's a discount code. I don't think I've paid full price for anything. And the Source stuff is so expensive. I bet it's brilliant and really nice to run in, but I'm not sure I could feel comfortable spending that much on one singlet, whereas I could probably buy 4 for the same price.
I know, that's exactly it though, isn't it? But then I guess if you're gonna race, I know we've mentioned Steve Jobs before, but like, how Steve Jobs would wear the same thing day in, day out, because that was his uniform. That was his, what was it? A white open shirt and black jeans?
No, it was a black turtleneck.
That was it.
Pair of blue jeans and a pair of New Balance, grey New Balance.
Yeah, sorry, that's it. So he would wear exactly the same thing, and that was his thing. That he was like, right, I'm in Steve Jobs mode now. And I imagine to some degree, some people want to feel that on race day, that yes, I'm in race mode now. This shirt makes me feel good. And if you've had it for years, then I totally get it. But we're going to mention the Woo, because we always seem to mention him. His Source singlet tore in half, didn't it? Or the glue kind of unglued.
Yeah. So, but on some of the Source singlets, so they don't rub, they're not stitched together. They're welded together, which basically means glued or heat sealed together. And it all come apart. So basically the whole side of his singlet just opened up. And apparently they couldn't fix it or send him a replacement. So he just got some fabric glue and glued it back together.
It seemed to work, didn't it? He wasn't running like Dracula with a cape or anything in Manchester, was he? That would have been good.
But he could have run around going, woo!
Woo! You should patent that. You should definitely, please do that, Will, when you're running your next race in Derby. About the Halloween. Definitely we should do a Halloween fancy dress.
Halloween.
Yeah. So we had an email that we were going to read out, but we didn't have time. And it's Mark Stockwell, who raced Newport with me, has I'll read what he said. I hit the wall at Newport, but still came in with my second best time of 3:40. PB's 3:29.57 from Brighton 2022, when everything just fitted into place. Other than local fun runs, my next race is Hackney Half, then a summer break before the Snowdonia Marathon in October. He's put not flat. Yeah, I've heard amazing things about. I've heard amazing things about that race, and then Valencia. So see you there, Mark. But he says, question for the podcast: what do you think about the Newport course and very flat courses in general? Other than the first and last mile, I found the course quite monotonous, if I'm honest, as each mile blurred into the next. There was little support except for Brett at every corner. That is not a lie. And no change in scenery. It was a bit like a treadmill. It was a bit like a treadmill run using exactly the same muscles over and over. Cheers, Mark. So really good question mark, to be honest, because I'll be honest, for a lot of Newport, I found myself on autopilot, I think. And I went to Newport for a PB. Like, I'm not shy in saying that. Like, I went to Newport to perform well. So I knew it was flat, and that is why I deliberately chose that course. And with the flatness doesn't necessarily come boringness, because again, that's why I've booked myself into Valencia, because apparently there's little to no elevation in that race as well. But I'm guessing running around Valencia, I could be wrong, and I might eat my words on the 1st of December. Valencia might be a little bit more interesting to run around than Newport, maybe. I'm not sure. But the thing with Newport is I'm not having a go at Newport because it's a nice place. Well, it's not the best place, so let's be honest. But sorry if you're from Newport. But the I'm never gonna live that down, am I? Sorry. Who are we kidding though? It's not exactly the Vatican City, is it? Newport.
I ain't saying anything.
You're being neutral. But I can read your thoughts. And
the fence is starting to hurt my bum. I know that much.
Yeah, come join me over here in blooming Point the Finger City. And basically, I actually didn't mind the city centre bit around Newport, but unfortunately for us running the race, that's about 2% of the race. 98% of that race was run on, or at least 80% of that race was run on country lanes. And yes, I must agree, Mark, it was boring, but I was able to get into a really good rhythm because of that. And I hate to admit it, but I think the lack of distraction really played into my hands at Newport because I was just able to just not waste any energy, and I'm a sucker for that.
Yeah.
Like if there's big support, I give a lot because I get a lot because you do as a runner, so I give it back, and I think I do maybe use up a bit too much energy, and I do love having fun with the crowds because that is one of my favorite things about racing. That's what makes a race different to a training run is the people that are there to watch. And I was able, I think, to just tap into race mode. And the plan I had, I executed it almost, exactly how I wanted to execute it. And I actually quite enjoyed the monotony, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And
you were on a Sunday long run. Just a few more people were there.
And I'm not. And again, if anything, I'm going back on my word about Newport because being out on those country lanes, it was actually quite serene. It was actually quite nice. It was just you and a load of trees, and they were just country lanes. It wasn't ugly. It wasn't like you're running around industrial estates like we were for the Brighton Marathon for 3 miles. I think they've changed that bit now since, but like there are uglier parts of other marathons. I mean, Newport was just a little bit, it wasn't really amazing or really bad. It was just somewhere in the middle. And overall, I have to say, I'd probably give Newport out of 10. I'd probably give it a 5, to be honest. Just because it was, just a bit meh, really. And I think that probably should bring us on nicely to a bit of controversy that we've been hearing in the running community this week, which is all about Newport Marathon getting measured incorrectly. Now, there is a statement that I don't have to hand, but I did read it on my YouTube video, which they basically said the AUK. Do you remember their name? Should we just find the statement and read it? Because they basically said that they measured the course, but the course ran long. So they didn't actually take the blame. They didn't actually say what actually happened.
This is the thing that is... I can't see how the UK course measurement company, who are responsible for measuring all of the courses and making sure that they are the correct length, I can't see how they can get it wrong, especially as they probably measured the course a few days or maybe a week before the race. They're not measuring it on the morning of the race. So I can't see how they are to blame. It's got to be Newport that's to blame, or it's human error from someone. And as you said, it's possibly the out and back. They've put the cone 50 meters too far out. And someone, human error, has put the cone in the wrong place, and it's meant that you've run an extra 200 and something meters.
Because they've missed the mark.
Way. Yeah, there's no way that the course measurers are going to measure it wrong.
No, because they would have measured it twice, 3, 4, 5 times, I guess.
Exactly.
I don't know that
official.
Yeah. I mean, they will have to design as well the leaflets, the official course maps, months in advance. So this has all probably happened last summer when they knew that they were going to change the course. And it's got to be human error, isn't it? But I mean, there's a theory that good old JB, we mentioned him before, John Broom, he said to me in a DM, he thinks that Newport, someone has volunteered to say it was my fault to take the heat off Newport Marathon, if you know what I mean, because this could cost them a lot of bad press. Because next year, like if you were going for that sub 3, shout out, by the way, to someone I was chatting to before the race called Simon. We were having a chat before the race and he said he was going for sub 3. I saw his chip time and he got in before they'd mentioned anything about a long course at like 2:59, 50 something. So he just about did it, but now he would have done it a minute quicker anyway. But if you missed out by seconds, for a good for age time, and what's even more frustrating, I spoke to this guy called James, who was a really super nice guy. He said some really nice things about my channel and stuff like that. And he said that he'd run a Boston qualifier and he ran 3:15 something. Now, I don't know if you need to run sub 3:15 in his age group, but like, that's not good for age. That's a BQ. And all they've mentioned on their website is London, 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 London. So I hope they're amending for other majors.
They'll have to. If somebody applies to Boston with that time, they'll have to amend it because otherwise it's not. It's going to look really bad on Newport Marathon if they don't.
Yeah. So I think they have maybe shot themselves in the foot this year because I think they were hoping for a brilliant marathon and raving reviews, people like me going down there and filming and stuff, and all this press and people coming back there next year because it's the fastest in the country, fastest in Europe, fastest in the world, or whatever they wanted it to be. But instead, it's just shrouded in controversy now, and people are going to be like, I'm going to just do Manchester again then.
But my statement of, yes, I hold my hands up. Yes, it did run long. And you said you thought it did. And yes, I was wrong. It did run long. But at the same time, I still stand by my statement. You cannot believe your GPS distance because how much too long did your GPS clock Newport?
42 in Ks, 0.8. So 600 meters long, 605 meters long, I think.
So 605 meters long, and it was only 276 meters long.
But that's, for me, that's an acceptable amount, 42.5, because when I've done Manchester, Brighton, Chester and York, Amsterdam, they've always been around that. So I would accept.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, I would accept about an extra 300 meters. I did feel like it was, when it's nearly 43K, I did feel like something. And then when I looked at, for example, I mean, I know you've said, well, it was the weaving around that was the problem, but I looked at like Matt Reese's chip, Strava, and he finished 3rd or 4th, and he would have done hopefully a lot less to and froing than I did, and he still came with a very similar course measurement to me. That's what made me think something's not right here, because he would have followed the blue line as much as he could. And a lot of that race is on country lanes. It's not like they're dual carriageways. So there isn't actually that many places to go. But yes, I do accept that GPS is a guide. Your watch is a guide. It's never verbatim. It's never gospel.
Because there are people now basically claiming that their extra 600 meters shouldn't count, and their Strava time is actually the time they run a full marathon in, and that's a load of balls.
So what I've done, I've just gone on Garmin and I've just on Strava and I've just cropped 600 meters off it, and it's just shaved. You thought I was being serious then, didn't you? And I've just shaved about 4 minutes off. So it's worked wonders for me. So
yeah, but this is the thing. Yes, it was long, but it was only 276 meters, which is a quarter of a kilometer.
Yeah.
But when you think about it, it's not that much compared to what your watch goes over. Like mine was a quarter of a mile out at Manchester. It said I did a quarter of a mile too long, which is a full lap of the track. But that was just my GPS being out. It wasn't because the course was long. So
I understand why people are incensed, because like we've said time and time again, you only get 1, 2, maybe 3 chances at a marathon a year.
Yep.
So I can understand why people are upset, and especially
I can as well, especially when it's been proven that it was long.
Yeah,
and
it's a long way anyway.
Yeah. But can you explain to me how after the race, how have they then gone and measured it long? Because where were the course markers for them to measure to when they measured it afterwards?
I don't know, and because unless there were literally chalk lines or they'd done bits of paint blobs on the floor.
But surely if there was markers, then the cone or whatever wouldn't have been put in the wrong place.
It couldn't have been misplaced, could it? Really, it couldn't have. So that's what's.
So how are they going back after the event and remeasuring it when the course isn't marked out?
Unless they've used something like what 3 words, and that's messed up a little bit. Because I've used what 3 words for GPS specific places to be before, and obviously you can't really use that, can you? But I mean, I don't know, to be honest. But for me, if I'm honest, and this might piss a few people off, I couldn't really care less, if I'm honest. It doesn't really affect me. The course, I wouldn't say I care less, because that implies like I don't care that anyone else got done over. Of course I do. I'm gutted for you if you did, if you missed out on a time by a couple of seconds or a minute. But for me, it doesn't really affect me. I ran a good race. I had a good day out. As you know, I love Newport, so I had a great time. I think it's a beautiful city, and I have to keep my voice down, because Laura's probably listened to this, but the reason my ex-girlfriend is from Newport, so that's probably why. Anyway, right. So carrying on. It doesn't massively affect me. Massively. Mm-hmm. So maybe that's why I'm a little bit blasé about it. If I'd have finished, like we were alluding to, if I'd have got a 3:30, 30 seconds, or 3:30, 40, I might have been a little bit more miffed. Yeah. But if I'm honest, all it makes me want to do is go again, and it makes me think,
and run it faster.
Yeah, because I've got 300 meters grace on the next one, because I know that I'll hopefully, if I ran a carbon copy of last week, I might get 2 minutes for free. So
well, it's a bit like Rachel. She just missed out on her 3:15, but now
her pacer,
she ran 3:15. She ran a 3:14, didn't she?
Yeah, I mean, the 3:30 pacer commented on my YouTube video and said that at 23 miles, all was good. He was pacing it really well. Got to 24 mile and realized he was short. So I don't know if there was a discrepancy towards the end. I don't know. But that's what makes me think it could have been on that loop. So then when you get to mile 24, that's where you should have actually arrived at mile 24. But we'd already run 200 or 300 meters longer. So he's arrived at mile 24 and he's thought, I need to put my foot down here, because at the moment I'm doing a 3:33. So I think he had to consciously speed up a little bit at mile 24, because I think he was worried. And here's the thing, when you pace, because I've never paced, if you've got 3:30 on your back, does that mean you need to run 3:29.59, or is a 3:50.59 at 3:30.59 acceptable, because that's the 3:30 finish?
No, I would say you've got to run a 3:29.59. Yeah,
you should be aiming to finish
3:30 on the dot.
Yeah. So anybody behind you finishes after 3:30. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that explains why, maybe because Rachel was following the pacer and she came in 15 seconds over, didn't she? So
yeah.
must have been a nightmare for anybody pacing that day. Well, everyone
Yeah.
was to some degree, weren't they? So yeah, but yeah, long and short of it, I don't really feel too upset by it, but I feel your pain
Yeah.
if you do.
I understand why people are upset, and yes, it's been proved that it was too long, and I am really sorry that that happened. But yeah, just remember, GPS isn't always correct. Like
No.
at my GPS run long at the Birmingham Half on Sunday, but I'm not going to claim that I ran a faster half marathon than I actually ran, because my time is what it was when I crossed the line.
Yeah, I think as well, the longer the race and the bigger the race, the more unlikely it is that your GPS will be anywhere near where you think it should be.
Yeah.
Which is why
Yeah.
manual lapping is such a good practice to do, which is something I've never done.
Yeah.
Because I know
And
you
that-
said in
and
your
that-
video you did.
Yeah, and that's why in training, when I ran that 120, I wasn't claiming that as a half marathon PB, because it was off GPS,
Yeah.
and there was no way that it was accurate. So
because you're running as the crow flies, aren't you? And you can't do that in a race. And then that's not factoring in actual units of measure. That's just your watch calculating what it thinks a meter is or 100 meters is.
yeah,
So yeah. And a question that I've been asked as well is, am I going to amend my marathon time? Absolutely not. No. I'm just going to, obviously, I ran the course. The course was the course. And from when I ran over that start mat to the finish, that was my time. And that's what I'm keeping.
yeah, that's what you got from that race.
Yeah. That's the race I ran on the day. And that's the time that that's the time. And it just feels a bit like cheating, I guess. If you've got your official finish time, but then you start changing it, you think, well, no, that just doesn't sit right with me. So yeah, I don't know. So no, I'm not going to change it.
Yeah. But I do agree that people should be allowed to change it if they were going for a good for age time or a Boston qualifier or anything like that.
Especially if it's been officially announced that it was miscalculated, then they've got every right to. Yeah. So yeah, good question initially from Mark there about what do you think about monotonous courses?
Well, I was going to mention later on, but I'm going to mention it now. Yarrow ran Copenhagen Marathon, didn't he, on Sunday when we were running half?
Yeah.
And after, I tell you what, amazing work from him, because after 6 weeks of training, so he'd been injured like quite badly for a long period of time. He'd had quite a lot of time off running. Came back, 6 weeks of training, and he goes and runs a 3:14.
3:14.
So
wow.
That's some pretty good running from him. He said up to mile 17, it felt really good, but then the wheels started to fall off and he did slow up quite bad. But he still ran a 3:14 for his first marathon back after a long time out. So fair play, Yarrow. That was awesome. But he said it was pancake flat. He said it was one of the flattest courses he's ever seen in his life. But it was the most incredible experience, and he thinks it's even better than London. He said the support was all the way round. He said it just was an incredible atmosphere, support all the way around, and it was beautiful to like run around Copenhagen and the city.
Well, have you been to Copenhagen? It's ridiculous. It's amazing. No. It's amazing. It's so grand, and it's just such a cool city. It's got all this grand architecture. Like they've got the Royal Palace there, for example, which is amazing. And then they've got the harbour, which I think is called Nyhavn or something like that, which is all these different colour buildings. You've probably seen pictures of it, and they're all like one building is yellow, one building's blue, one building's red. And it's like, just so such a vibrant city. So it's on my radar for 2025.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. I think I'm going to hopefully do London next year. And then once I've got that under my belt and I've been back and done it, I'm going to hopefully like do a bit of traveling and go to some other marathons. I'm very tempted by all the marathon majors, but there are some others like Copenhagen and Valencia I'd love to go and do.
You could drive to Copenhagen. You could go in the Obi-Wan bus.
That
Because
would be good, actually, wouldn't it?
all you'd need to do is go over the water and then go up through Germany, and then it's just over the water into Denmark. So yeah, it's potential. That would be one hell of a road trip. So
yeah, definitely. Well, I've driven old Volkswagens to Belgium several times. So
have you?
It's only about the same distance, isn't it? So
yeah. That'd be that maybe doable. So yeah, that'd be cool. We've got another email just to quickly read out from Mark Hurdy-Gurdy. He's not called Hurdy-Gurdy, he's called Mark Hurd, but that's his Instagram username, I think.
Yeah.
So he says, "Hi Andy and Brett, I've been on holiday straight after Manchester Marathon, seeing Mickey and Minnie in Florida. So I've only listened to the podcast when I got back home. I ran 5 times on holiday."
Sorry, can I just say I'm proper jealous? I want to go back.
What, Disney?
I want to go back to Disney. Yeah.
Never ever been. Laura keeps telling me it's amazing.
Yeah, it took me 42 years to get there, and when I walked in, I always looked at it on films and on TV and in books and magazines and thought it can't be as good as everybody's saying. It can't be that magical. I walked into Magic Kingdom on the first day we got there, and I was 10. I was just going.
Yeah, it's just amazing.
Everything. It's just incredible.
Yeah,
the best place I've ever been.
That sounds cool. It does sound cool. He says, "I ran 5 times on holiday, and I can recommend walking around theme parks to recover the legs post-marathon. I walked over 80 miles in 2 weeks." He says, "It was a pleasure to meet Obi-Wan, aka Brett, in Tesco Express. I'd gone for a walk to find the nearest tram stop ready for the morning, and I nipped into Tesco to purchase a post-race full-fat Coke for recovery and met Obi-Wan." When are we going to do? So he says, when you are a slower runner at the start process means that you are unable to do a warm-up. I agree, a good warm-up makes a difference, as it did at Cambridge Half for me. And he says, "I missed my A goal of sub 4. However, I did get the B goal of a PB, and I went from 4:25.36 to 4:13.13. So that is 22 minutes. And so really pleased with 12-minute PB, and it didn't cramp. I like the salt shoes. I think the salt shoes did the trick. Well done to Brett, an awesome run in Manchester, and well done to me, an awesome run in Newport. Keep up the good work with the podcast, lads. Best regards." And he says, "P.S. This marathon was a confidence booster for me because I did Seville Marathon in 2022, and post-race, I got deep vein thrombosis.
Oh, wow.
I thought I would never run a marathon again. In fact, there was a chance that I couldn't run again. I purposely had a year out from marathons in 23 to build up my body gradually. This year, I've ran PBs in the 10K, half marathon, 30K, and marathon races. I'm the most proud of the dedication and consistency in my training from September 2023 to marathon day. In fact, I think I enjoy the process better than the race. It gives me purpose in my life." This is making me well up reading this.
Yeah, man.
I love this stuff. I'm sending this
incredible.
email to share that you can overcome obstacles and achieve greater things if you are disciplined and stay consistent. Cheers, Mark. Mark, you the man. Fair play, man.
Yeah,
what a journey you've been on.
Yeah. That's incredible. To be told you might not run anymore, and then to smash through that barrier and come back and run PBs in all the different distances. That's just next level.
That's just 2 fingers up to DVT, isn't it? As it's saying, yeah.
It is, yeah.
You tried to sideline me, but I'm back, baby. And he's hungry for more by the sound of things with his 12-minute PB. It's sub 4 for him next, maybe
Definitely.
later on if he's doing a marathon in autumn or maybe next year. So yeah, Mark, it's on, baby. It's on.
Amazing. So moving on from that is what was the next thing?
Hang on. I've got one more shout out before we move on.
Oh, go on then.
This is from Ryan Close. I've just seen my notes. So Ryan asked if we could have a shout out last week, and we just recorded the podcast early because I requested to record it early the day before. So Ryan, was about to run and has since ran the Belfast Marathon. It was his first marathon, and he wanted a sub-4, and he did it in 3:59. What a hero.
Yes.
Ryan
Yes.
Close, you absolute hero. So well done, mate. I hope you treated yourself to a Guinness straight away on the finish line. I hope you're in better shape than me on the finish line. And because we all know that I could not handle a Guinness post finish line. And yeah, I hope you had a really great first marathon, because it sounds like you probably you probably found it hard in those later miles, as we all do.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you went through the range of dark moments that we all experience. But yeah, man, buzzing for you that you got your 3:59. So let us know what's next.
Incredible. I've just remembered as well. There's a couple of comments on the YouTube video from last week that I should probably read out. One's from Danny Finley, and he has put, "Great podcast, lads. Love it. I know you say you're not here for coaching, but when I'm listening, it's like the same sort of conversations you have with your mates about race strategy, training techniques, S&C, etc. It's fantastic, lads. What the running community has been missing in some ways, lads that know what they're about. Relatable. Keep up the good work." So cheers, mate. Amazing. Thank you for that, Danny. That does really mean a lot. And then Lee Chesterton has commented and said he spent years getting into London, finally got in, but when I was past my best. Had to defer for a year because of Achilles tendonitis. Ran the next year, not really ready, went off a little too fast, looked to go under 3 hours on the hottest London ever and died a death. Didn't enjoy any of it, ran 3:56 and cried at the end.
Oh, Lee. I hope someone was there to give you a hug at the end, mate. That sounds like a hard day at the office.
It's horrendous, isn't it? I've got to say, there's probably nothing worse than really, really wanting to do something for so long, finally getting the chance, but you're not prepared. It's not the right time. And then you just have a shocker and a horrible time doing it. And it just ruins all of that want of doing it and the build up to this excitement of doing it. And then it just turns out to be an absolute
when you think about it,
time.
There's nothing like running, is there? Nothing like running for finding the deep, dark, horrible moments of your life, but also the massive highs that you ever experience. It's essentially a drug, isn't it? Like the dopamine and the endorphins and the adrenaline. You just, speaking personally anyway, it's like a whole, it's like my running days were like hidden under a rock. And then all of a sudden I lifted up this stone and out came all this like potential, and it's like, I didn't know any of it was there. And there have been some really dark and hard and horrible moments, but there've also been some of the best moments of my life. So there's nothing like running, is there? There's nothing like it. Nothing like it.
But yes, so thank you very much to everybody. If you have got a question or a comment or anything you'd like to say to us, you can send us an Instagram message or comment on the YouTube video, or our our email address is runningtheredlinepod@gmail.com. So please do reach out if you want to.
It's just going to be filled with like hate for me, for my disdain for Newport now. Newport's not that bad. I'm making out like I thought it was like some war-torn civilization. It's just a little bit. No, I'll just stop talking. I'm just going to dig myself a hole.
Exactly. I was going to say that. Yeah. But right, let's move on. So, let's go back to Sunday, the 5th of May, and there was a little event called the Great Birmingham Run happening in the centre of Birmingham, and 7 days post Newport, Andy decided to stretch his legs in the city. He did say on the last pod that he was only going to have 5 days rest because he was going to run Parkrun on the way to work on the Saturday. But what happened there, Andy?
Yeah, I went out for beers on Friday and slept in. I got a hangover. So I woke up and thought, there is no way I am doing a parkrun today. So not today. And didn't end up doing. And you know what the funny thing was? It was cancelled anyway. I looked on their Facebook. I looked on their Facebook thing later on. Imagine if I'd have put all that effort going down there, hungover, and it was blooming cancelled. So I didn't even end up doing it. So probably for the best.
Yeah, I would say it was probably for the best. But so we both went over to Birmingham on Saturday. Andy kindly came and collected me in the morning and was my personal chauffeur all the way to Birmingham. And we got there with plenty of time, loads of time before the start of the race because we wanted to be there and we could just relax. And we were so relaxed that we didn't get to the baggage bus until about 5 minutes before the start of the race.
I think we treat race mornings like a podcast. And we realise we've been talking for like an hour and 49 minutes. And we've got like 6 minutes to get to the start line. We've got to remember that it's not a podcast.
so my warm-up for the race, once again, was my jog down to the start line and then quickly do some drills and jump into the start pen. But yeah, never mind.
Because what they do is at Brum, for anyone that knows Broad Street, the start line is at the bottom of, well, I guess I'd call it the bottom of Broad Street, and at the city end. And right at the top by Five Ways Roundabout, they've got like 7 or 8 double-decker buses, which is what you put your bag drop. That's bag drop. You put your bus up. You put your bag on the bus. Your bus drives off to the finish line. You collect it, and you just got to remember what bus you put it on. But the problem is, it's like half a mile away. I don't know. So if you leave it late, you've got to run through 10,000 people, and try and get in your pen. Which you'd think the man on the side of me on the screen would have learned his lesson from last year, but did he?
No. And stupidly, I thought, I'll just run through the middle because there'll be loads of people on the pavements because they're all the spectators. So I'll just run through all the runners. Man, it was so congested. It was ridiculous. In the end, I had to go to the side and take apart the barriers and squeeze through the barriers and run down the pavement because it was less congested.
Like Moses. Just a sit time in the Red Sea.
Part in the waves.
Yeah.
No, yeah. So do you want to go through your race and what happened on Sunday for you?
Yeah, okay. So for me, it wasn't a goal race at all. I'd obviously done the marathon 7 days before and got FOMO, massive fear of missing out, and I just can't miss that race for some reason. I don't know why. Signed up for it, went for it, and I sort of said to myself, right, let's not go too hard, but let's not go too easy either. So I ended up running. I wanted to run 1:42. My PB is 1:36, which I ran with Brett last year. And I ran on the day 1:42.42. So massively, massively pleased with it. And it was, I actually think it was about 200 or 300 meters long, but we won't talk about that. And, so I've taken 20 seconds off. So it was nice and easy for me. I actually went out with I learnt my lesson from Newport, and instead of letting the pacer go ahead, which would subsequently give me too much work to do in the second half, I stayed within. I never let the pacer get out of sight. I was probably at the furthest away, probably, I don't know, 50 yards away from him at all times, so I could always see him, and decided at mile 10 I was going to kick on because I was in race mode and I just fancied it, and I just thought, I don't want a 1:45, I want a 1:42. That's what I came here for. So and I think actually thinking back, that pacer might have been going out a bit hot actually, because I think I was about 143 and a half, 144 pace at that time. So took over him at Edgbaston Cricket Ground and Cannon Hill Park, and they've got 3 miles to go from there. And then did the business, got over the finish line, looked at my watch, and I got to 3 miles to go, and I just didn't look at my watch, because that's the thing that I'm starting to do now, deliberately not look at my watch, and it's seeming to work, because in previous, whenever I'm 75% through a race, parkrun, whatever it is, I look at my watch and it starts to give me anxiety. It starts to make me feel a certain way. So now I've deliberately stopped doing that, and it's all about effort. And that's all it was. And I was matching the effort. I was trying to run strong and steady. I was really pleased with it. And the legs didn't give up on me. They held on. And on Monday I was feeling it. So that's why I've only had a couple of 5Ks and a 10K this week. But I'm ready to go for next week now, and I'm going to have a good parkrun tomorrow. But I'm really, really pleased with the way it went. I think I got an average pace of 4:48 which is, I don't know, it's about 7:40 something, I think, per mile. So just really pleased with the way it went. Great race. Entertainment on course was wicked. The congestion was bad, but not too bad. I'm sure you're going to mention that. For where I started, it wasn't too bad. The first mile, like any other race, is always a little bit tricky sometimes, but it wasn't too bad. Sun was shining the whole way around. It was very warm. But yes, long story short, 1:42.42, buzzing.
Amazing. Good running, man. A week after Newport to go out and do that. And where does that rate in your half marathons?
I think it's my 4th fastest ever of all time.
Amazing.
So yeah. And I wore my Adios Pro 3s, and I said I'd only keep them for marathons, but they're just so sexy. They're so nice. It's like a Sunday speed. It's like a sports car that you keep in the garage, and you just think it's too nice to just keep in the garage. And these things make me want to go fast. And in my head, I was thinking, if I wear any other shoe, I might lose control, or I might feel slightly, I don't know, might get hot spots, or for example, the Takumi Sens, they might make me go out a bit faster because they're quite fast shoe. But the Adios Pro 3s, I know them obviously well by now because I only wore them at marathon 7 days before, and they're a lovely smooth ride. They're actually very, very comfortable. They really seem to vibe with my running style. So really glad I wore them. And my outfit this year, this week, by the way, was a bit less morbid. I went in all black to my Newport Marathon. I look like a blooming Rio de Janeiro street carnival. Like someone who is in blooming, like some sort of festival. I was in like purple and pink and yellow. And so, I was a little bit more vibrant.
And at the end of the race, you had some red streamers as well with you as well, didn't you?
My photos are horrific. Absolutely horrendous. Yeah, I had some targets on me on my torso, because at mile 10, got some water, threw it over my head, and basically all the water trickled down my chest. Nipple chafe really quite badly. You don't notice at the time. I wasn't stinking at the time. But then I got over the finish line and realised, and my photos are horrific. So they have not been purchased. Because there's 70 photos of me looking like I've just come back from war.
Yeah, like you're in a scene from Saving Private Ryan.
Just come off the beach and the D-Day landings. Yeah. But all in all, good day out. Brilliant. And really, really enjoyed it.
Amazing work, man. Amazing.
So how about you?
So it was a bit of a goal race for me. Yeah. So my target for Birmingham, I really wanted to see if I could carry on my marathon fitness from Manchester, especially as I hadn't cramped up at Manchester. So my legs were feeling better than they were last year. The fact that I'd properly rested after Manchester and took a full week off which I didn't do last year. I then wanted to see if I could continue that marathon fitness into a half marathon. And my target was to try and break 120 for the first time ever. So my PB was from Redditch 2022, and I ran a 121.45. So my PB was 121.45. And then last year at Birmingham, I ran a 121.49. So very close to my PB, 4 seconds off. But obviously I'd cramped up loads at Manchester and then hadn't taken enough time off. And then I got injured very swiftly after Birmingham because I'd been silly and got back into training too quick. So I'd been a bit more sensible this year, and I was hoping that I could take that forward. So, we got there nice and early so I could relax and do a proper warm-up, and that didn't happen. Ran to the start and got into the start pen. And because I'd got to the start pen late, I managed to get up next to my clubmate Ryan, another runner from Birmingham. But we couldn't get any further ahead in our pen. So I was in the fast-paced pen, the very first one. But we were at the back of that start wave. And there was no way of getting through because not only was it the half marathon, there was a 10K on as well. But right at the front of the pack was all of the age group England and Wales 10K runners, because it was the... I think it's the championship, but it's a competition between England and Wales over 10K, and Birmingham 10K was that race. So it was basically full of the age group runners all in front of us. But they were all from age 40 all the way up to like V70 and all that lot. And they were all in front of us. So there was a huge group of us. And I know I said to you on the pod that I knew the 10Kers were there and I wasn't going to go out too fast with them all. But it was such a tight start and there were so many bodies on such a small bit of road that I just had to try and get through them and weave. So I ended up doing my first mile far too fast, but I just wanted to get out and get some space. So I think I did like a 5:47 on the first mile. And I did a 5:42 for my second mile.
What was your goal pacing? 6:05.
So I was going to go out at 6-minute miles. That was my idea. But a sub 120 is 6:04s a mile. Okay. So I needed to average 6:04. I wanted to go out at 6-minute miles, and I did a 6:47 and a 6:42 for the first 2 miles. So went out way too quick. But 5:47 and 5:42 for the first 2 miles. So way too quick, but it was nice because we actually got some space that we could run in, which was good. And then, it was pretty uneventful really for the next few miles, going through the Jewellery Quarter and back down by the mailbox and round the city centre. And
did you like the karaoke bit?
Yeah.
That was wicked, wasn't it? It was like the karaoke queens. They were like, I guess they were like, I think they were basically drag queens, but they were doing, and they had like a karaoke setup. And when I ran past them, I think they were doing Love Shack. And
amazing.
But it was just like the start of the race was wicked. Like the first 3 miles, I really enjoyed them. Really enjoyed the entertainment that they'd put on.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the atmosphere there for the whole event was brilliant. I think. But and then we went down past the past New Street Station and round there, and then at 5 miles, the 10Kers turn off and go back round the island to go back and finish at Smithfield, whereas the half marathon runners carry on straight out. Now, for the first 5 miles, there'd been quite a lot of company and people to run with. And then you get to 5 miles and all of a sudden they all turn back the other way and you're left on your own and it's really sparse and really lonely. So that was interesting when we got to there. But yeah, we got onto the Pershore Road, went out to the Pershore Road, got to, I think it's just after 7 Mile, and you turn right and go up towards Selly Park, and that's the hill.
Yes.
What did you think of the hill?
Yeah, remembered it from last year, but I actually didn't mind it. I thought it
Yeah.
was. I think it's because it's relatively short that it didn't
Yeah.
really impact me too much. But I imagine if you overcook it,
Yeah,
you could be in trouble.
Could find you out, couldn't it? Yeah, and
Yeah.
I will say when I was going through the first few mile, at about 3.5, 4 mile, I had a couple of lads from the club fly past me, and another lad I know called Fraser who came flying past me, and then we got to the hill, and I caught Fraser and Ollie, a lad from the club, back up, and I passed Fraser on the hill, and I could tell he'd gone out a bit too hot, and he'd sort of started to fade already. But
and also, it's worth noting as well that by now it was heating up as well, wasn't it?
yes, it was warm.
And I just felt, for me, it felt like the first hot day of the year. I don't think I've run on a hot day this year until last week. And I was thinking, wow, it feels like blooming Tenerife here. It really does feel really quite warm.
Yeah. But yeah, so I managed to get up the hill and make up quite a few places, actually. I was quite pleased with that. And then went round Selly Park, back down the hill and back onto the Pershore Road. And I was like, right, I've just got to now put the afterburners on and get down Pershore Road as quick as possible. So I saw you on the way back. I saw Adam running the other way, and I saw you running the other way. Then we got to...
You were at 10 Mile, I think, when I saw you.
Oh, okay. So, so I was just turning into Cannon Hill Park at that point.
Yeah.
So you turn right into Cannon Hill Park, and I hit 10 miles, and I was on 1 hour and 30 seconds. So I said to myself, right, to break 120, I've got 19 and a half minutes to run 5K.
Yeah.
So
that sounds
like, right. Yeah, I thought that's doable, but it's hot. My legs are feeling it.
It's the end of a race. Yeah.
It's the end of a race. So let's just knuckle down, head down. Let's go for it.
It's not in the bag. It's never in the bag, is it? At that stage,
it's not.
So you can't get cocky. Not. Yeah.
So I got through Cannon Hill Park, came out of Cannon Hill Park to go into Edgbaston Cricket Ground. I was like, man, I'm really starting to feel it now. I'm going to just have to push on and just hope for the best. Got through Edgbaston Cricket Ground, back onto the Pershore Road, and then you hit 12 Mile at the end of Pershore Road. And that's when you then join all the rest of the 10Kers that are coming in. Yeah. Now, obviously, at that point, we're hitting, because we're running around the 120 mark, we're hitting 10Kers who are running 10K in 120, 130.
Wow, yeah. So a lot of runners.
At a completely different pace.
Yeah.
So from that point, it was just weave through people and just try not to take anyone out and just try and run as fast as you can around people. But I got to 12 Mile, and I think I had 7 minutes, I think, to do 1.1 mile. So I was like, right, okay, this could be on here. So started weaving. We got to 1K to go, and I had 4.5 minutes to do a kilometre. And I was like, this is on here. This is on.
Yeah,
a 4-minute kilometre. So just kept on pushing, got to the finish. And I don't know if you've watched my video of the race, but watching it back, I turned into a psychopath on the finish straight, because I got to the finish straight, realised I was going to hit that sub 120 time, and just started laughing.
Yes!
Laughing to myself.
The laugh! I forgot to mention the laugh! You sound like this crazy, like Baby Reindeer. Just like a pantomime villain.
Yeah, so I got to that finish straight and I was so happy. I just started laughing the fact that I'd managed to do it. And yeah, so I sprinted to the line and I managed to cross the line in 1:19.10. So I was
Amazing.
50 seconds under my target time. And yeah, I was absolutely ecstatic.
Phenomenal. What an amazing performance. And you must be like, it must be like a good race to do it on as well. But especially
Oh,
because
yeah,
you came so close last year and
yeah,
you know a lot of runners and you like the course.
yeah,
It's difficult. It's a technical course, isn't it? It's quite difficult. Not to
yeah,
mention all the weaving you had to do.
yeah,
So
yeah.
you must be extra,
But
extra pleased.
yeah, well happy. And yeah, apparently I came 27th overall,
That's
which is
mental.
crazy. And then I was second in my age group.
Were you?
So yeah. So yeah, well
Amazing.
happy, well happy. But the best part of it, which I didn't realise until I did a bit of maths, is according to the so on your finish time, it gave you a halfway split, and my halfway split was 39:36.
Yeah.
So I then worked out that the second half of the half I did in 39:34. So I negative split the race by 2 seconds,
Yes.
which
Amazing.
is amazing. So yeah, I am super, super happy.
You must be so buzzing. I mean, I'm looking at mine now, and I'm going to have to ask you to do this because I can't be trusted with mathematics. But I got to halfway at 51:17, and I finished at
Yeah.
1:42.42. So I think I positive splitted by about 8 seconds. That's what I measure it at.
So hang on, you've got
If that's right,
8
I'm officially
minutes
good at maths
43.
again. Yeah.
So you've got 8 minutes 43 and 42. So 5.
Do 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 do.
So you did it in 51:25, your second half.
Yeah.
So you positive split by 8 seconds.
Yes, I got it right. Yes. Yes. That's not bad, is it? A positive split by 8
No.
seconds.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. And do you know what gave me the buzz to do that though was to try and beat the pacer. That I don't think I would have done. I might have maybe faded a little bit more if I hadn't have done that.
Yeah.
But it's funny, isn't it? Because I don't know if we've talked about this, but now I'm getting a little bit faster. I'm starting to treat races slightly different now. So now I'm starting to race my races, which sounds stupid to say that, but I'm starting to experience what racing feels like. And although wasn't racing anyone, I was in my head. So I'm racing this pacer.
Yeah.
And which is it's such an easy target. I shouldn't really confess that because pacer's a pacer, and it's not going to overtake you, is he? So I remember thinking, my tactics are here. Instead of slowly speeding up, I'm going to surge, and then I'm going to try and keep running this pace that I've been running. So I did that, and then I thought, okay, I've surged now. Now I'm knackered. What did I do that for? How on earth do runners do that? And I was, but as I sort of slowed down from doing that surge, I remember thinking, no, I got back control and managed to keep turning over. But how on earth you drop a surge running PB pace as well? So like proper hard race pace. How on earth these top elite runners are doing a surge to drop other runners or break away from a pack,
Yeah.
and then going back to the pace they are running it defies science sometimes, because it's like it's a whole different style of racing that so many of us will never ever need to do. But I think once you start to get fast, you start to play with speed, don't you? and you start to trust yourself a little bit more. And I actually really quite enjoyed it. And I thought, oh God, don't let him overtake you back now, because if you do, then you've really messed this up. Didn't see him again. So I was glad that I put my little surge in. It makes you feel good, doesn't it? It makes you feel good.
Yeah, it does. It does. But I wanted to say thank you to like everybody who shouted out or called my name whilst I was running. I'm sure you had exactly the same. Just so many people running the other way, shouting and giving encouragement was wicked.
It was great. Yeah. And as well, like fair play to everyone that did the 10K as well, because we've both not done the 10K. We've only ever done the half, haven't we?
No. Yeah.
So
I've only done the half.
I don't know what it is, but I only ever want to do the half in Birmingham. I don't want to do the 10K. I don't know why.
No, neither do I.
Yeah, I just want to do the half, but maybe the 10K is a really good race. I don't know. But well, you practically run it, haven't we? We just run an extra 11K.
Wait, exactly. But I do want to give a shout out to some of the people who ran on Sunday. First off, Rich and Julia.
Jules, yeah. They both did the 10K.
Yeah, and both ran really well. Loz did the half marathon as well, didn't he?
Yeah, he did well. Yeah, he did 1:55. I think he did 1:54. Yeah. Excellent.
And then there was so many guys from B&R, from Bromsgrove and Redditch Athletic Club, and some amazing results. We were out in full force. First off was Faye. She ran the 10K in an England vest because she qualified for an age group. She ran a 41-minute dead on, smack bang,
nice.
On 41 minutes. And then running the half, Pete Ball ran a 1:15.19, which is incredible. So fair play, Pete. Smashed your PB on that one.
That's good.
I think he came 8th.
I was going to say, is that top 10 maybe? Yeah.
Yeah, he came 8th, I think, which is, amazing. So there was awesome running, Pete.
So there's only 20 people between you and 5 minutes later, pretty much. It must have been lonely. Must have been very lonely up the front then. Wow.
Yeah. Well, up front, the guy who won it, Omar Mohammed, I think that's his last name. He ran it in 1:05, right? And the next guy was bloke in second place was 1:12, so he was 7 minutes in front of second place.
God, he must have been on his own. Yeah, he must have been. He must like his own company.
Yeah, which is crazy. But yeah, so Pete absolutely smashed it. Matt Giles ran a 1:18. Ollie broke 120, did a 1:19.52.
Yes.
Ollie was up in Manchester last year at the marathon, and we both broke 3 hours together. He ran a 2:59 the same year I ran 2:59, and now we've both broken 1:20 at the same race as well. So
am I thinking of the same person? Was he the guy that was on the train with you, or on the tram with you getting to the race on your 20? Yeah, yes. On your last year's video. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, so awesome. So that's wicked. Fraser, who I mentioned, is a lad from Old Church. He's not in Bromsgrove and Redditch, but he's the guy that I passed on the hill who blew up, and he said at the end, I absolutely blew up there. But he ran a 1:19.59. So
what a legend.
Which is incredible.
Yes.
And then Ryan, who set off with me, and I feel a little bit bad because I said, should we set off and do like 6-minute miles? He was like, yeah, I want to try and break 1:20 as well. So I set off and he followed me at that silly pace at the start, and he completely blew up. And he ran a 1:23, which is still amazing running. But
I'm not surprised. 5:42 second mile. Cheers, Brett. See you, mate. Have a good race. You've ruined my life.
Yeah.
You've ruined my race.
So, So sorry, Ryan. But yeah, you still ran amazing, Ryan. You ran a 1:23, which is awesome.
Fair play. That's amazing. Yeah.
Tom Richmond ran a 1:25. Lisa, who ran London Marathon 2 weeks ago and ran an amazing time there. She ran a 126
Wow.
and was fourth female on the day at Birmingham, which is awesome. She wasn't very happy because she ran a 123 last year, so she wasn't very happy with her time this year. But I was like, you've only did London Marathon 2 weeks ago, and you finished fourth. And then Rob Mole ran a 129, and Will Noyce ran a 128, but he was a bit disappointed because he crossed the finish line and came to meet us all, and he had some nice blue Vaporfly 2s on, but unfortunately they had some nice red patches on them, and they had rubbed his feet to hell, and like all his feet were bleeding inside them. And the last time he wore those Vaporflies, they ripped his heel off. They ripped all the skin off his heel. So he hasn't worn them since. Repaired his foot, managed to get all the skin to grow back, wore them for the second time, and it did exactly the same to his heel. And he's like, I'm never wearing these shoes again.
Oh, man.
So bad luck, Will. But
makes my nipple chafe look like a walk in the park. That sounds horrific.
So to still run a 128 when that's happening is pretty good work. And then just to finish off with the shout outs, I need to give a massive shout out to Adam Neal, who one of my workmates. He ran a 1:45:34, so he was 1 minute off his PB, and he was aiming for a 1:40, and he was on pace for a 1:40. And then at 800 meters to go, both of his hamstrings cramped up and it knocked him to the floor, and he had to lie on the floor. And the 1:45 pacer saw him and got his legs and was stretching his legs out for him whilst he was on the floor.
Oh my God.
So this was at 800 meters to go, and he eventually managed to get back up and finish in a 1:45:34. So to be on the floor with cramp and still finish 1 minute away from your PB is pretty impressive.
That is amazing.
So great work, Ad. And the fact that you were on for that PB and that 1:40, but even he said at the end, lessons have been learned. And I think you've got to have those bad races to understand why the good ones go the way they do. So next time, I think he's entered Worcester later in the year. So Worcester, it's on that sweet. 1:40. And then his brother Dan was running as well, and Dan was aiming for and Dan was aiming for a 1:30, but he narrowly missed out. He did 1:31:43, just wasn't meant to be on the day. And he had his brother Lee Leggett Lee, the legend that is Leggett Lee, had Lee didn't even enter the race, just got into the start pen and started the race with Dan and paced him.
Did he? He's my hero. I didn't realise he didn't do it.
Yeah, so he didn't have a number or anything, but he just paced him around some of the sections. So I think he let him go up round Selly Park and stuff on his own, and just kept on joining him for sections.
Did he?
And pacing him around sections. So he didn't run the whole thing, but But
he's a good runner, Lee, isn't he?
Some great running all around. Yeah, Lee's great. But some great running from the Neal brothers. So congratulations. But that was Birmingham Half.
Well, do you know what absolutely made my life, by the way? So I've just done a bit of research, by the way, and I've remembered that parkrun that near Solihull. It's called Bab's Mill. And that's that's out towards, and that's flat, as far as I know, and on tarmac around a lake, I think. And I mentioned Dave and Sarah Oakes earlier. Yeah. So they took... So Rich, who's been in a few of my YouTube videos, big beardy, beautiful Rich.
Yes.
Rich, he's a very unassuming, gentleman type. He got accosted by someone who actually later turned out to be Sarah Oakes. And they asked if they could have a picture with him because he's in It's on Andy videos. And
aren't you Rich from It's on Andy?
Yeah. So he had his photo taken with Sarah, and he didn't know what was going on. So that was just absolutely made my life when he said that, because he was buzzing. He feels like a celebrity now. So if you ever do see Rich Annabout, please ask him for a photo because he loves it.
Yeah.
But,
amazing.
But yeah, so that was no, I really enjoyed it. It was such a good event. It's such a feel-good event, and I think the Birmingham Half, considering it is a quarter of the size of the Great North Run. Well, I know I said to you before we started this, it could be double the size quite easily. I'm actually quite glad it's not, because the Great North Run, as amazing as it is, it's exhausting for the senses, for your body, for mentally, you know. And if Birmingham got any bigger, it would go that way, I think. And the fact that you can, I know we just about got away with it, but the fact that you can rock up to Birmingham at like 8:15 or 8:30 and still get in, you know, you obviously got to find yourself somewhere to park. But it's not, it's a big race, but it's not mega big.
Yeah.
So I actually am quite glad that it's, having thought about it, it's not quite on the Great North Run level, because it's made by the same people, isn't it? It's a great run organization. So, but it could be massive, but I'm actually quite glad that they're not, because as you found out, go on, if you're listening to this and you haven't watched Brett's video, go and watch it, because it really shows the tight nature of your, like, how you had to start the race. I was like, I was watching it thinking, oh God, that's tight. When you're running on the pavement, I thought, oh mate, your ankle's going to go in a minute. Are you going to go on the other side? Oh no, you've come on this side of the road. So it was it looked like a tight start, but it's a good race, and I will definitely.
It's great. Definitely, yeah. It's a great one to do. So if you didn't do it this year, make sure you get your entry in and join us in sunny Birmingham, which for the last few years it has been sunny Birmingham for that race, which is mad.
It has. It's always the first day of summer, the Birmingham Half Marathon. Next year it'll be snowing.
Yeah.
But
it's got quite a good place in my head as well, Birmingham, as a run, because it's where I made my first YouTube running video, was Birmingham Half.
Yeah.
So going back each year is quite nice.
Cool. Yeah, that's a nice little sort of milestone to constantly pass, I guess. So yeah. Well, do you want to? Shall we quickly talk about some of the races that we've got in the diary then for the next few weeks and months?
Yes, because obviously we are, going to call it. Well, not call it a day. We're going to call it a day on the podcast.
It's been fun, guys.
That's it.
See ya.
Thanks, guys. No, we are going to call end of the season, and we will be back for our next pod after this one. We'll release on the 1st of June. So, please do join us back then. But before then, I do have a race for the club coming up, which is the Hilly 100, which is a relay race. And it's proper relay because you have to pass a baton to the next runner. And it's 100 miles and there's 10 runners, 10 legs. And they're all really hilly legs. They've all got hills in. That's why it's called the Hilly 100. And it's all around the Cotswolds and places like that. And I am running leg 10, which finishes in Stratford. And it finishes down by the Butterfly Farm. So that should be fun. 10 mile on each leg. And you run it, pass your baton to your next runner, and they run 10 miles. And should be a really good one.
Are you hoping to like? Are you hoping as a team to win or get high up? Or
I really don't know. I'm not really sure. I haven't run it before. I went out and supported Gav last year, one of my mates from the club. So he drove out to the start of his leg, and then I jumped in his car and kept on driving to the next turn, so we knew where to go. And had bottles of water and was running alongside, passing him water, and then getting back in the car and shooting off in front of him. So I've done that, but I haven't actually run the race. But what is interesting is there's no marshals throughout the whole of the 100 miles.
Right.
The course is marked on signposts. So on the post, not on the actual sign, on the post, with just a little sticker about so big with an arrow pointing the way that you need to go.
Wow.
So you could very easily go the wrong way.
Oh,
so
God.
It's always good to have someone in support to go up ahead and make sure you're going the right way.
Yeah, because you can't necessarily just follow the person in front of you either. It doesn't quite work like that, does it? Yeah.
Yeah. So that should be fun. That should be fun. And then June is quite a busy month. So both of us have got the 2 castles on the first weekend of June on the 9th.
I'm going to race that.
So Warwick Castle to Kenilworth Castle, which is one of my favourite races of the year. I just absolutely love it.
Yeah,
such a good race. It's not the flattest of courses. It's quite undulating, and it's got some fair old elevation in it. But it's such a good race, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you can do over 10K on that course.
Me too.
Yeah.
I've got a holiday to get through first, though, so we'll see.
Oh yeah. And then the week after is Redditch Half Marathon.
Yep.
Cool. The week after that, on the 23rd, is either Leamington Half or Whittle and Hollywood 10K, which I haven't fully decided on what I want to do, but there is a possibility us two might do Leamington and something similar to last year, maybe.
Because it's still 1-0 to me, because we never did another one, did we?
No. So so another Brett versus Andy might be in the works at Leamington. And then the week after that is the postponed Droitwich Half on the 30th. So what should have been in March, was it? Start of March, is now on the 30th of June. So June's going to be a busy old month for races. What else have you got coming up other than that?
So I've not actually got that much booked in. I've got the 2 castles on sort of and ahhing about Leamington, but I think I might go for that, especially if we can think of some sort of challengey kind of based idea, because I think that'd be quite fun. Haven't booked Redditch yet. I'm thinking of contacting them to see if I could do a pacer to maybe pace the half marathon. So I'd be quite interested to try that. And then I've got nothing now until July. Apart from that, July is my next one, where I've got the Race to the Stones, which is my 100K, baby.
I was going to say just a short little one. It's only a small one.
So so need to ramp up the mileage towards the end of June, just to try and get my body back to almost marathon training. But a lot of it will probably be a lot of maybe, I don't know, because I'll still be doing the hard park runs, but I'll probably be running a lot of zone 2 stuff and a lot of easy stuff, especially if it's hot as well, which might suit me quite nicely. So it might be a nice balance between fast stuff on a Saturday and maybe the odd interval workout in the week, and then some nice, easy, long, slow stuff to get ready for the long one.
So 100K is 62 miles, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't ask me what time I'm going to do, because I don't know. I genuinely don't know, because last year I did it in 7 hours and a couple of seconds. I went wrong for about 20 to 25 minutes. So if I hadn't have gone wrong, I could have maybe done 6.5. I'm a little bit fitter than I was last year. So going into the race, hopefully I could maybe... I'm not going to say. I don't know.
Did you do the 100K last year?
50. I did 50.
Oh, so you did the 50 last year in 7 hours.
That's why. Yeah. Because 100K in 7 hours.
I was going to say that's ridiculous, but no.
So,
okay.
Yeah. So that's Well, that's going to be. What I'd like to do is start in the daylight and finish in the daylight. I want to try and finish before I use my head torch. That's my That's my goal, to try and get in.
What time in the morning does it start?
About 6:30, 7 o'clock.
Okay.
So that will leave me about 13 hours, which is very tight. I think realistically it's going to be about 15 earliest. which is a long time to be on your feet, which is sounding quite scary. But yeah, it's going to be a character building exercise, and I've always wanted to do a really long one, and I think 100k will be
amazing,
interesting. So yeah.
amazing.
So before we go, we've got an end of the podcast quiz, a season finale. But before we go, do you have any other business? Anything that we haven't mentioned?
Not that I can think of, no.
No, I don't think I have. No. Well, in that case, it's time for Brett's end of the podcast quiz, end of the season special. So you've got 5 questions, and there is a connection.
Excellent.
Okay.
And we all know the connection was thought of first, and then the answers, and then the questions.
And the connection don't really work, and the answers are a little bit crap. But yeah, that's basically right. Question 1. What is the longest street in New York City?
Is that something like Fifth Avenue or something like that?
It's something like that. It's something you would have heard of, yeah.
Hollywood? No, that's not New York, is it? Hollywood Boulevard? That's LA. No. I don't know.
Okay, we'll leave that as a. Come back to that. Question 2. In Harry Potter, what is the name of the charm that is a defensive spell that, if performed correctly, conjures a silvery animal particular to the user to defend against Dementors?
Expecto Patronum.
Yes, otherwise known as a Patronus. Charm.
Yeah.
So
although the charm is Expecto Patronum, the Patronus is what the charm creates. So
okay, so
is the animal.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. You can tell I've only seen Harry Potter a couple of times, and I wasn't really listening. That is correct. The answer is Patronus. Yeah. Question 3. Michelangelo from the Ninja Turtles is known for his wisecracks, quick wit, love of skateboarding, and what else?
Well, Michelangelo is a party dude, and he loves pizza.
Correct.
Excellent. Well, they all love pizza.
Yeah, that I did. He really likes it, doesn't he?
Yeah, because Leonardo leads, Donatello does machines. That's a fact. Right. Raphael is cool but crude, and Michelangelo is a party dude.
Ah, I never heard that rhyme. That's pretty cool.
That's the song from the intro.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
What? They're the most fearsome fighting team. Leonardo leads, Donatello does machines.
Oh, of course. Yeah. It's been so long since I've listened to sing it. Question 4. What place in the UK is known as the home of ballroom dancing?
Blackpool.
Correct.
Excellent.
And question 5. I'm Blue, Ba Dee is a song from 1998 by which Euro dance group?
Eiffel 65.
Very good. You got that very quickly. There are 2 bonus questions. I think from that smile, we might have got the connection.
Yeah, there is the Eiffel Tower, the Blackpool Tower, the Leaning Tower of Pisa.
Yes. Leaning Tower of Pisa.
The Patronus Tower.
Yeah, which is in... Do you know where that is?
Is that Dubai?
Malaysia. They're like the biggest...
Oh, yes.
They're dual standing towers, and they've got a sky bridge.
That's right, yes. So it's got to be the Empire State
no,
Building?
this one, the longest street in New York City. The answer requires a bit of local knowledge for me and you. So not everyone will know the name of this tower.
Okay.
It's in the Cotswolds, technically in Worcestershire, but the name of the street is in New York City. There's a lot of singing and dancing on there. I say the neon lights are bright on. You don't know that song?
Oh, Broadway Tower.
Yeah, yes. Broadway is the longest street.
Yeah, of course it is.
Broadway Tower is about 6 meters tall. So sorry, sorry about that if you've never heard of it. It is nice. It's well worth a visit though. You could get two because it's the end of the season finale. You can have the 2 extra questions. So
there's more towers.
Yeah, Paris.
Okay.
In 2024, LA in 2028 are due to host the Olympic Games and will become 2 of 3 cities that have hosted the Olympic Games 3 times. Which is the other?
It's got to be Athens, hasn't it?
No. When you get it, you'll get it. If you think of the connection. The Tower of... Where did people go get their heads chopped off in Henry VIII's days? Speaking of which, by the way, Laura's doing the Hampton Court 10K on Sunday.
Is that this Sunday?
Yeah. Ooh. We can't wait to go down there.
Amazing. So is London had it 3 times?
Yeah, apparently so. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, the Tower of London.
I didn't know they'd done it 3 times. Wow. Amazing. Yeah, Tower of London.
And this is one of these that I've left to one side because it's technically a bad question. What was the first 24-hour news network in the USA?
The CNN Tower.
just get rid of one of the ends. I was gonna do which animal in the sea does the male get pregnant?
Oh, the seahorse.
Do you know the tower in Chicago? The Sears Tower. So I didn't do that one. I wish I had. We'll just stick with the leaning tower. We'll just stick with the leaning tower of pizza.
Tower of pizza. Yeah.
Well, there you go. One of these days, you're going to have a mega quiz to see. At the end of the year, after Valencia, I'm going to just pick one random question from each podcast to see how well you remember.
Oh, yes.
So you'll get a mega quiz one day.
Amazing.
A mega quiz.
That would be, a bit like the Grease Mega Mix at a party.
Yes, the 5 Mega Mix. Do you know any of the lyrics to "I'm Blue Da Ba Dee"?
Yeah.
Shall I start you off?
Here is a story about a little guy who lives in a blue world.
And all day and all night, and
everything around is just blue, like him inside and outside.
Blew his house, and a blue little window, and a blue Corvette.
And everything is blue for him and himself,
and he ain't got
because he ain't got
nobody to listen. I'm blue, da ba dee, da ba die. What a song! Eiffel 65. I wonder what those boys are up to now. What a band.
Living off the millions of pounds that song got them. That's what they're doing.
Yeah, that's exactly what they're doing.
Do you remember the video as well?
It's a brilliant video.
Digital animation.
Brilliant video. Love that. Yeah.
So good. Right. Anyway, on that, best of luck to Laura on Sunday for Hampton Court Palace.
I will relay the wishes.
And yes, that is the end of season 1 of Running the Red Line. Andy is going off to sun himself on holiday for a couple of weeks.
So all you can eat. It's all you can eat as well. The food situation.
mate.
So I could be in trouble. Could be in big trouble.
I can't think of anything better. That sounds incredible.
Yeah, it's gonna be mega. It's gonna be mega.
Amazing. But yeah, that is the end of season 1. We will be back in 2 weeks' time on the 1st of June, and we can't wait to speak to you all again. So thank you so much for listening. Thank you for coming along on this ride with us for the past 18 weeks. And we'll see you in a couple of weeks' time. Cheers, guys.
See you soon, guys. Cheers. Lean and Tara Pizza.